Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Monday, November 25th, 2024. Welcome, traders. We're going to take a look at SPY on multiple time frames, quickly through the higher time frames because we keep showing the same thing, and really want to focus on the 65-minute where we're going to check out SPY, QQQ, SMH, IWM. We did that in the Discord. We talked about that and did a individual analysis on that for members from the top down to show exactly what we're looking at in the long run. So let's go ahead and get into it. We have we're doing this video intraday about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested in getting these videos or the individual analysis videos, consider becoming a member. 99 cents and $4.99. Appreciate all the support. This is making the channel grow. Thank you, everybody. You're fabulous. So we have SPY on the monthly time frame. This, remember, I should always start off with this, with SPX, just to show the long term and how important this top is from 2029 or 1929, 2000 top to the top now. So we already hit that. We hit the trend, and we're reversing off that as we speak. So, or I mean, maybe there's a couple inches up there. I don't know, but we're if not really close, maybe there's another couple points up there. Maybe 61, 60, 50. Not sure. It's such a long-term thing, but we're right in the area. We have the top of that channel as well that we're coming in confluence with. And in SPY, so we have the 2008 top, 2021 top, and now we're getting into that zone as well. So we had a potential reversal candle here. Let's see if we get some sort of maybe reversal on this candle as perhaps a tweezer top, where you have two candles in a row that are compared to each other. Maybe some of them are, could be two dojis, could be a reversal bar engulfing as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as the month comes to a close. I believe, I think this is going to be the last trading week of this month. So it'll be very important to see what happens. So let's take a look at the weekly. The weekly time frame. If we put this into a channel, we're right back at that channel top there, resistance, and then potentially we could come down to test this potential channel bottom. I'm also looking at it, and you see the dash lines as an expanding formation as well. So could easily come down to test those lows as well. This only has one touch on it, so we don't know if this is going to be a solid spot for the market to go into. So I do suspect coming up fairly quickly, this move should be pretty swift, and it may start today, it may start next week, I don't know. I'm betting on it starting to, very, very soon, as soon as today's reversal, to come down to these minimum, this point here in SPY, which is about, we'll call it 560. And then I will explain a little bit later, the importance of this initial move, whether it looks like a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move, is going to be very important. Here's another look at it. The weekly. So here's that very important 162 former retracement there from the last correction from 2001. And that was our final target. And you can see how important that area was. Got above it, though. And so I suspect any reversal that we get is at least a back test. And so on a bullish kind of point of view here, on a bullish point of view, you want that to hold. The 560 will be very important. You have the 20 moving average here that we talk about on the weekly time frame. If you get underneath that, that's a very good indicator that we're starting our larger correction or recession. And so holding above that 560 will give the will give the bulls a chance to go to new highs at that point. So let's go ahead and go to the daily. And for the time relationship, we don't have one until the end of December. So that's why I go through that so quickly. So this bearish rising wedge, you see that forming. Now we have a larger wedge here. And I want to mention this trend line. You have a point here and a point there. So it's not a very strong, valid trend line. So this may not hold on this next move down. If this move is pretty impulsive and fast, then don't rely on this solely. All right. I just want to give a heads up on that if you're trying to buy the dip on that trend line alone. All right. So after this correction here, then we had a possible ending diagonal that could be completed. You see, we have that trend line. We just tested that point there. Now we had the downtrend here that we're back testing at this point. So do we go higher from here? It's possible, but we did create another, and this is what I talked about last week. We created yet another divergence right there. And now in the near term, after we had a correction, we have a divergence on the RSI again. So in the daily, I think this is over, but do we have a little bit more room to the upside? We have the wind behind us with the slow stoke, so perhaps if this doesn't curl down yet, then we have a couple more points to the upside. We'll see. It's getting very, very doubtful after these moves, and the Qs are diverging again and not giving that kind of strength. So you'll need them to kind of step up its game. But again, I think that's less likely now that we have setups, bear setups on the downside. So what I want to talk about is, and we have this confluence here, and I talked about getting to this point where the breakout was. So this is at 560, very important zone. You have this whole trading zone from let's call it 555, all the way up to 565. And so that's a good area to get at minimal a bounce. But if this is an impulsive wave for the beginning of our recessionary move, and by the way, this is no longer the start of that. That's a three-wave move. We got a new high there. And what's going to happen is from these highs here, it should be a pretty sharp move if it's the beginning of our recessionary move, okay? So the characteristic of this move should be pretty large. So we have to be very careful when we're buying the dip and protect your positions. So this, again, right here, if we get a shallow bounce, I think it's a lot more likely that we make new highs. Whatever reason that might be, maybe this is the structure here for some sort of 1, 2, and then we're just ending off this wave 3-ish, and then we have maybe a crossover on wave 4 and 5 up. So that would be a bullish scenario. But if all this support just starts breaking down, then I think it will be a lot more clear that we have a breakdown and an impulse wave, and then we should have a nice deep retracement that would backtest, consider backtesting this supposed trend. I don't want to call it a trend line yet because it hasn't held a third bounce off it yet. But so anyway, just want to keep that in mind that this move could be, and we'll look at it on the lower time frame so we can determine what kind of move this is. So looking at this from this correction, we had the retracement and we hit those targets right up here to 599. And now I'm going to have to adjust these time price ratios to the new top here. But really, essentially, we're at a double top, and all we're doing is backtesting that 599. Very similar to when the price broke out here, right here. So dig back in. So you had a double top right at the that final target on the weekly time frame, and then price got above it and held above it. So that's what, if you're bullish, that's what you'll have to take in consideration. If price can get above 599 and hold onto it, then it can continue this move to the upside. I'm not looking for that necessarily, but if we start to reverse, then we have this structure that we're looking at possibly ending here. And so I'll move my arrows there, and we have retracements. They're not to the penny right now. They're pretty much the same though, because we only got up a few cents. So they're about where they need to be. I need to adjust those. But from the bottom of the structure to the top here, if we get a retracement, here's the 382. The 382 coincides with that back test of the breakout zone. Now, it's not very typical that you just hold on to exactly the breakout. More typical would be price breaking through and then snapping back as a fake break and going to new highs at that point. But if this move is a lot more impulsive than we think, then we'll probably get a sharper move down to the 62% retracement. And it just so happens, and I'm not sure if I have, what we could do is, if we look at it from, let's add the volume, from a VPOC or volume profile, then we can see some of our, if you look over to the left, here's our volume shelf here. So you have less and less volume as price went up, and then you have this nice volume shelf that coincides with the 200-day moving average, and also some lows here, really good support as well. So it would not be unheard of if price wants to grind down and shoot through all these levels, then likely the bottom of this that we're going to see is around 540. All right, and so that just happens to be, take this off, and that just happens to be right where, about 544, where our 62% retracement is, and that's where the 200 is, that's where these lows are, and that's where all of our volume is. Okay, so this is probably our deepest retracement that we'll see before getting a bounce. And if we do get to these levels, I think that's more likely of a situation that we have a nice sharp wave one to start off our recessionary move, and where we have a 1, 2, and we continue much lower, but we'll have a nice big bounce after that as well. All right. So again, if this is a more shallow 382, I really start, you have to keep consideration that price could make a new high at that point. Again, I'm not in that camp, but at least we keep that in consideration, and we start looking for hedges to see if there's any bullish setups. All right, and time cluster we're into right now. If we kind of dig in this a little bit further, we had one yesterday or Friday, and we're into one today. We have 11:26 turnaround Tuesday cluster here, and so this might be marking our top into this cluster here, and then we'll be looking for some sort of lows coming into maybe early December here. So this doesn't have to play out that far. It could be really sharp. We'll see where price is going into the time relationships that we have. Let's go down to the 65. The 65, we have that bearish rising wedge. Again, made new highs here. And then the simple downtrend, we have 1, 2, 3 touches there, gapped above it, and now we're just back testing it. So is this an impulse, and then we're just bouncing and we go lower? That's possible. I think that is a very likely situation, and then we'll see where price goes at this point. If looking at the structure, you do have possibly a 1, 2, 1, 2, and this has to play out for consolidation here for higher, consolidate higher. or this is just a really, kind of messy move where this is the structure here, basically an A, B, or 1, 2, and this is playing out. And you have a 1, 2 in this nice sharp retracement inside of it and just playing out here, and it's done. I know that's not very clear what I'm describing, but basically just like an ending diagonal where you have 3 wave moves within a 5 wave structure. Okay. All right, and for time relationships, again, we have this 162 where that last target was. We hit the 600, the 599. We need price to get above and hold above the 599 to see if price is going to go higher. Not wicks like this. It needs to hold on to it and start pushing off of the 599 for us to get into any bullish positions at this point. So time relationship, that was Friday. Can remove this one. We have another time relationship today. So does that mark a top? That's what I'm looking for. Going into Qs. I guess I'll give you this on the 65. Again, we have these retracements here. Here's the 382, very shallow. If we get a stop there, maybe our initial wave 1 on a lesser degree goes to this 382 and we bounce, and then wave 3 continues lower. That might be the case, but we have a couple catalysts this week, and I think this first initial move might be pretty strong going into the beginning of December. So again, the lowest target could be around 544 all the way up to 565. Huge zone, but this is this will show the character of what comes next. QQQ. The Qs, bearish rising wedge, tested the top of that wedge once again, and we talked about that on Friday and Thursday. So we're rejecting off of there, and this looks good to be a lower high. Again, you have a downtrend line there as well, and I think this is where it all gets started. And the same thing's going to happen with this. How big of a move do we get from the Qs is going to be very telling. It's very possible when you have rising wedges that the bottom gets tested sooner than later. So, we'll see what happens, but we have this retracement from top to bottom here. And the 382, very shallow, is 480, but we can get a move all the way down to 458 as well, and that would be very telling of what kind of move is coming next. So we'll get this possible 1, 2, wave 3, 4, 5, and then 4 and 5 headed down here. That's supposed to be yellow. So we'll see. IWM, we did a whole video on this just a bit ago, and you can see the tops here, they match, and we're back into resistance. So we'll see what happens at this point. If price wants to go a little bit higher, there is another target right above here. So from this correction, we have a retracement. We got past the all-time highs, tested back, and now retraced to the 150. That's a minor retracement. The first big zone was the 127, and now it looks like if it wants, it can go up to the 248 would be our final target from this retracement here, from this correction. Okay, and you can count this again. This is all part of an ending diagonal, so it's pretty messy, these sharp moves, and so it's really hard to tell what the top is. But we made another divergence here on the daily time frame for this one as well. It's what we're looking for in the near term is a divergence is possible on this more near term here for the RSI and the MACD and the slow stoke, but it doesn't have to play out that way. It could be done at this point. SMH still just weak, broke down from this wedge, just back testing. Could possibly, if price wants to go higher, could back test the wedge just a little bit higher. That's always possible. But at this point, we're not playing it, not playing to the upside. Just looks way too weak, and you have an ABC structure here that's possibly done, and now we're just kind of nesting for a 1-2-1-2 setup to head lower. But again, this could go a little bit higher, rotate out of the small caps again, go into some of the tech moves if price just wants to move sideways. And finally, the VIX. In VIX, we're looking for a higher low at this point. So we had our corrective structure already done, got to the options expected move last week, and now what I'm looking for is a higher low at this point and then a breakout. And so we're having a little bit of trouble here. Do we get a new low from here? That's possible, but I don't think we break down to a new low at this point. So we'll see where price ends up, just kind of forming higher lows and higher highs at this point. And we'll see if we can hold this this low here and see where the VIX goes into some of these catalysts in this week. All right, so that's what I have. We're still looking to the downside, not hedging with Tesla anymore. Just that's a struggle on Tesla. It was good while it lasted, but when it does reverse, then we'll be looking to the downside on Tesla. We got a couple of good Apple puts and Google puts here today as well. So, all right, check us out in the Discord. It comes with each and every package. If you're a Patreon or a YouTube member, it's free with the package. So, and yeah, so even the 99-cent YouTube supporter, you get the Discord as well. So join us in there. We like to we have good traders and like to bounce things off of each other and communicate through there. So thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.